Hey everyone, how are you doing today? Welcome to the Main Character Masterclass. In this masterclass, I'm going to be teaching you how to step into your main character energy. If you are on TikTok, you saw this trend blow up over the past few years. You can even look at the hashtag main character energy. But what this is really about is you realizing that you are the director, you are the producer, you are the writer, you are the main character of your life. Life isn't happening to you, it is happening through you. And when you start playing a different character, your entire life changes. Your self-concept, your identity, whatever term you want to use, is literally the most important piece of transformation because everything else really falls under it. So, what do I mean by that? The actions that you take, the behaviors that you have, the habits that you do daily, the thoughts that you think, these are all derivative of your self-concept, of the identity that you are carrying. Now, a lot of people, and if we think about even the baby boomer generation, they were taught that a lot of things were hereditary, that this is just the way things were, that this is the way it had to be because of their lineage. Like, it was so disempowering. But the more that we have learned about epigenetics, the more that we have come to find out that you can literally change anything at any point, literally to a subatomic level. And while we won't be getting into quantum physics today, because you are either a Synergy member or you are a student in Alchemy of Manifestation University, you have access to all of my programs. So if you want to go deeper on any of the quantum physics, just go to the quantum program because I literally break down quantum physics in a way that you are not going to have any questions. Like, when you're done with that program, you're gonna be like, okay, I get it. You might not like fully get it. Some things might be a little too advanced for you because I went really scientific there, but you'll understand everything that you need to know about quantum physics. Well, what I need you to understand is your personality and your identity is not fixed. It's not fixed. Nothing is actually fixed in this universe, in your life. Everything is subjective. Everything is malleable. So that means at any moment, you can literally transform your life. Like the baby boomer generation, where they felt like this was just their personality trait, you know better. And if you don't, you're going to. Everything in your personality is malleable. You can fix it. If you don't like it, you get to change it. And that's literally like the motto that you get to live by. If you don't like it, you get to change it. It's always this or something better. And that's what we're manifesting. So one thing that is so fun when we think about self-concept is, what if you thought about your life like it was a movie? So I want you to think about like your life is a movie, as if you were creating a documentary show, or as if you were creating like a documentary, or as if you had a reality TV show. If you saw the one email I sent you about this masterclass and about really stepping into your main character energy, I talked about the Kardashians. Now, how you feel about the Kardashians, like, we're not going to go there, but I'm using them as a reference because whether you watch the show or not, you know of the Kardashians. Like, no one lives under that much of a rock where they don't know who they are, right? So I want you to think about, what if you were like the Kardashians and you had a camera crew following you around all day long. And now, fun fact, whether you know or don't know, whether you read the email or not, Kim Kardashian actually manifested being on a reality TV show. She used to watch The Real World on MTV, and she used to decide, and she used to think, that's what I want. She decided that she wanted to have her own reality TV show, or she wanted to be on a reality TV show. Now, come to years later, she's not only been on a reality TV show, she's arguably changed the course of reality television forever. She is the queen of reality TV. Because if we're being fully honest, the Kardashians, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or the new show The Kardashians, never would have started, and we honestly wouldn't know probably anything about the Kardashian family other than the father being the lawyer for O.J. Simpson. Like, we really wouldn't probably know much about them. So the reason why we do know them is because Kim Kardashian decided when she was younger that she wanted to be on a reality TV show. And then she did whatever it took to get on a reality TV show. And now here's the thing, right? Like, if you know the history and the reason why this actually became possible. Like, she started to become famous and known besides being with Paris Hilton, who's her cousin. It was the fact that a sex tape came out. Now, that wasn't something that was ideal, right? Like, that's not something that anybody really wants to happen. Like, that's not how you really want to be known. But I would argue that very few people even associate her with that sex tape anymore because of the name that she has made for herself. And not just as a reality TV star. She is a billionaire. She's a female. She is now a lawyer. She has multiple businesses under her. She has changed the game in so many aspects. And so the reason why I'm talking to you about her today is because it's relevant in manifestation. It's relevant in becoming a main character. It's very relevant. Even if you don't like them, I need you to understand how relevant it is. Now, if you replaced yourself with Kim Kardashian and you created your own reality television show, name it whatever you want, if there were cameras following you around right now, would you be excited about the legacy that you are leaving behind? Would you want to be known as the person that you are right now? Would you actually want cameras to come into your day-to-day life and film you? Or would you be kind of embarrassed? Are there things that you do daily that you're like, I wouldn't want anyone to see that? Do you actually not treat yourself very well? Do you not really get ready? Do you lack on your self-care? Do you lack on your health habits? Are there areas where you're lacking that you're kind of like, yeah, well, if there were cameras following me, I definitely wouldn't do this. But because I'm at home by myself and no one's seeing this, of course I do this. And this is not shaming yourself or blaming yourself. That doesn't get you anywhere. But I think that a lot of the times the conversation that doesn't really happen in manifestation is about your habits and how you're being and what you're doing throughout the day. And now we know that your thoughts and your feelings really matter. We know that your faith really matters. But the conversation, oftentimes we don't talk about action. Like, that is definitely the number one topic that is the least talked about topic in the manifestation community. And the problem is, if you're not taking action in alignment with the version of you that you're deciding to be, if you're not taking action to really co-create this life that you're desiring to live, then it's not going to come into fruition, right? Kim Kardashian didn't decide to be a reality TV star and didn't go through with the process because of the sex tape, then that's all she would have been known for, right? Like, she wouldn't have ever created an actual empire, because she has an empire right now. She has left a legacy behind, whether you like her or not. I just need you to understand, like, that there's a legacy. The Kardashians have literally created a legacy. And if she didn't take action, we wouldn't know who the hell any of them were, right? She has opened up the gates, the floodgates, really, for all of her sisters. I'm not really going to say anything about the brother because, like, if you watched the show and you saw him, like, he was actually the one that didn't do anything with his potential and, like, didn't do anything. Like, he was just, like, him and Courtney really were like, blah, blah, blah. So we're not going to go into the details of the show. But the reason I'm not mentioning him is because, like, he didn't really live up to the name. He's not even on the show. He's, like, he's not in the public eye, really. But all of the sisters, one of them was the first and youngest female billionaire. One of them is a model. One of them has clothing lines. One of them has dated a lot of famous professional sports players. One of them is now married to a very, very public drummer in a band. There's so many, and like, that's just like the very, very small thing that I'm mentioning, but they have all had these opportunities that happened because Kim took action, right? If Kim didn't take any action, if she was just like, oh, I want to be on a reality TV show one day, but she didn't actually work towards it, then it wouldn't have happened. And she had a quote that got a lot of controversy, which is just truly, it's still, to me, even like a year later, I don't get it. I quite frankly do not get it. And like the fact that she got so much backlash, but that she was asked, I want to say she was doing an interview for an entrepreneur, for an entrepreneurial magazine, I want to say it was, and they had asked her if she had any advice for female business owners, what would she tell them? And she said, you got to work. And it triggered so many people. Like, people got so reactive about it, and she got so much backlash, which to me is just insane, because like, Kim is one of the hardest workers. And you guys know that I always tell you that you don't have to work hard from a lack frequency, from a lack mindset, but you do have to work. And yes, I agree that you should be working smarter and not harder, but there is work, there is action that's required. And when you aren't taking the action, when you aren't doing the things, doesn't matter how long you meditate, like, doesn't matter how long you visualize. If you're not doing anything to bring this visualization, to bring your desired reality into this current reality, if you're not changing your self-concept, if you're not changing your habits, if you're just staying the same, that's when like you're going to get really frustrated with this manifestation process, because you're doing like the feminine, right? Like where you're visualizing and meditating, and maybe you're journaling and scripting and all of these like more flow state things. But if you're not doing anything about it, that's not actually going to change your life. It might make you feel better. It might bring you more self-care. You might have better health because of it. But at the end of the day, there's the balance between the masculine and the feminine. And the habits, the things that you're doing daily, they're either getting you into alignment with the desired reality that you want to be living in, or they're actually keeping you quote unquote stuck, because you're never actually stuck, right? But if you are consciously or unconsciously choosing not to change, that's when you start feeling stuck, because you're not actually getting the manifestations. You're not seeing them. They're not tangible. You're not able to touch them. You're not driving the car. You're not living in the home. You're not in the relationship. You don't have the money. And it's because you've got to marry the feminine with the masculine. You got to be getting your mindset and energy right, and then you've got to be taking the aligned action, right? And so a lot of the times we aren't really thinking about this whole transformation process in a way that's tangible. When the conversation of self-concept comes up, it's typically everyone is you pushed out. See everyone as you as a mirror. And we're not going to go into that very deeply today, because you guys know if you're in my world, I do not teach that. I disagree with it. It is the most egotistical teaching in the world. It violates people's free will. There's so many things that I find wrong with this. I have an entire 3-hour long live where I basically just talk about that on my YouTube channel. And the thumbnail is everyone is you pushed out breakdown. So if you want to see that and you want to go deeper into that, you can. But I'm sure if you've been in my world for a minute, you have heard me explain this, because I get asked this all the time. And I am so uninterested in having that conversation anymore, because it just is a clear indication of the lack of shadow work that the person has done, if they're even asking that. So if you are somebody that is part of the everyone is you pushed out cult, which I've come to call them, you are definitely in the wrong space. I would not encourage you to stay in the membership, and I'm going to trust that you're not one of those people, but I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there. If you are, you're not going to like my teachings, because I teach you how to do real life shadow work. I teach you how to really get into the depth of your psyche, and I'm not going to teach you how to egoically manifest. And I would never teach you to violate someone's free will, because every spiritual teacher and every channel that channels a 12th dimensional entity has always told you that free will does exist. So just because Neville Goddard taught it once in one book and y'all are putting him on such a pedestal, like, that's also dangerous. And this is why I've always said, even to my business clients and mentorship, or to the business community, that it's dangerous to have one mentor, because then you just see their way as right. So I'm not going to get too far into that conversation. But the problem is because the majority of people are teaching that when it comes to self-concept, they aren't actually giving you tangible steps to facilitate the transformation of creating a new identity. Now, because you do have access to all of my programs, if you want a step-by-step layout of changing your self-concept from step 1 all the way to the finish line, then after watching this, after doing the homework for this, then I would really encourage you to go into the Self-Concept Master course. This is going to be a different way to think about your self-concept and to actually embody the main character energy, because we're really going to be talking about you creating a 2024 movie of your life. So I'm not going to go in depth, step by step on how to create your self-concept because I've already done that, but it is cleanly laid out for you in that program. So I would really encourage you to go through that program after you watch this masterclass, if you haven't already. Now, the thing is, if there was a camera crew following you around right now, and if you had habits that you really wouldn't be proud of, you really wouldn't want people to see, and no one's perfect, right? And even on the Kardashians, like if you do follow them and watch the show, you can see now more and more how really curated the show is, and like they pick and choose what they show, what storylines they tell. They are very transparent about that now that they have full say over the show, rather than when they were with E! and Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So I'm not trying to tell you that reality TV isn't scripted at all, or is like real life. Like, of course there isn't, but just have discernment while I'm saying these things. It's just because a lot of people struggle with really being able to tangibly grasp the inner work and doing the mindset work and doing the personal development work. So it works really well to be able to tie that in with a mental image, or to tie it into something that people have seen. So that way they're like, okay, I get it. Like, it's not just this ethereal concept. They're like, I get it. And when it comes to habits, like if there is a habit that you really want to change, and if you have struggled to really release that habit, or if there's an old state that you feel like just keeps coming up and you've struggled to release it, I have recorded a swish pattern for you to listen to. Now, that is a neuro-linguistic programming tool that is taught typically in a one-on-one client session, but I don't actually, even though I've gone through NLP, the certifications and everything, I don't actually use it quite often with my clients or with my students. But I felt really called today while I was working on this masterclass to go into my old certification book, and like this came up right away, and it popped up multiple times. So I was like, this is it. So if there is something that you do really want to change about yourself, but you've kind of been struggling in that area, then once you're done watching this, you can either do the homework right away, which I always suggest you do, is watch the masterclass and do the homework right away. Like, don't lose the energy. Let the momentum keep building. So I would encourage you to watch this class, then go do the homework. And then if there is something, whether it's a state or a habit that you'd really like to release, then do the swish pattern technique. I want to say it's like 10 minutes long. So it's really not that long, but you want to make sure, because we are going into your subconscious mind in that you really have time and space. So if you are home with your children right now, or if you're in a place where it's a holiday week, so if you're in a place where you're with a bunch of your family members and you can't really like go into a quiet space and like not have anybody interrupt you, then I really wouldn't encourage you do this. Hold off on doing that until you can really have some alone time and you cannot be interrupted, because it will not work if you're interrupted. It will break the whole process, because it's very, very specific. Like, I'm walking you step by step through doing that. So I just want to let you know that that is there. And that is just one of those things where, you guys know I always over deliver. I'm not just talking at you. I always give you something tangible, a tool to help you. But this is going to be so epic because it's literally NLP. And this is something that you would typically have to pay a lot of money to even get a session for. And you now have it, and you can listen to it whenever you want. I wouldn't recommend listening to it all the time, but anytime there's a habit or a state that you're struggling to break, you can listen to this, you can do the pattern, and you're gonna realize like it instantaneously is going to go in and start clearing that for you on a subconscious level. And since we know that our subconscious mind is creating 95% of our reality, this is why it's so powerful for you to get into your subconscious mind, because that's how you can actually start working smarter and not harder, instead of having to change this behavior or try and change this state by energetically changing or by actually changing your actions and your behaviors and your habits, you're really programming your subconscious mind to do that for you. And so that is going to be given for you, so you can click on that and do that whenever you feel called. But I want you to actually think about right now. Think about, even if we look at, for this class, for the purposes of this class, we're going to be looking at the 2023 year. Regardless of when you're watching this, because if you're in Alchemy and Manifestation University, you have lifetime access to this. So no matter what date or when you're watching this, just use the year before. So 2023 doesn't matter that much. But the idea here is, I don't want you to be looking at your entire life, because that's how people get really overwhelmed and they feel like they can't move forward. So when we're looking at who we've been, we are going to look at the past year of our life, 2023. Now, this is such a perfect time for this masterclass to be releasing, if you are taking it live when it's coming out anyway, in the end of November, like it's Thanksgiving week right now. What's so beautiful about this is when you get really clear on who you've been this past year, which is basically what starts happening whether we want to or not, when the end of the year starts coming up, that whole new year, new me starts going. And then we're looking at everyone who's either manifested all these things or they've set all these goals, they accomplished them. And then we're like, did I manifest the things? Did I accomplish my goals? And sometimes we start beating ourselves up. And that's not helpful, right? Like, that doesn't actually get us any closer to our desires. So the intention here is for you to look at the past year of your life honestly and say, who have I been? If I was looking at my past year, and this is part of your homework, so I'm going to have you dive into this, but you can start reflecting on this right now. If I were to look at the past year of my life, 2023, and if it was a movie, if it was a documentary, what would I call it? What would my character have looked like? Like, who would my character have been? What did my character do? What were the habits that they had? You know how in those movies where there's like a voiceover and you're seeing the character play out, but then there's someone narrating it and they're talking about that person? If you were reflecting on 2023 and there was a narrator talking about who you are, what would they be saying? What would they be talking about? You know how sometimes like those movies will kind of call out the character? I want you to think about it like that. Like, if there was somebody else narrating who you were this year, what would they have been saying about you? Not even you, but like if somebody had watched the camera roll of you, the B-roll, like all the footage, if they had watched it of you, what would they be saying? Would they have good things to say? Would they be saying that you were really empowered? Would they be saying that you were a go-getter? Would they be saying that you had high self-worth? Would they be saying that you took the time to take care of yourself every day? You had healthy habits. You had great relationships. You were in an amazing partnership. What would they be saying about you? And again, no shame. But if you start to think about, like, who have I been? Honestly, who have I been? Because what I find is we start trying to get into this manifestation thing and we're like, all right, I'll wake up and I'll read this book, or I'll wake up and I'll journal, or I'll wake up and I'll script, and before I go to bed, I'll do that hypnosis, and before I go to bed, I'll do that visualization. And no, like, and all of those things are amazing, right? Like, I'm not telling you to stop doing any of those things. Those are amazing tools. But what I find is the gap that really happens when a lot of people are struggling with this manifestation thing, when it seems like manifestation is taking a long time, it's that they're not looking at who they're being in the hours that they're awake. So math is not my strong suit. Like, I literally count on my hands. I will be the first one to tell you what I'm good at, and I'll be the first one to tell you what I'm bad at. I'm fucking terrible at math. But what is there? There's 24 hours in a day. Let's say you sleep for 8 hours. So that's 18. Y'all, don't come at me if that's completely wrong. But let's just say that there's 18 hours that you're awake in a day. let's just say, if there's 18 hours that you're awake in a day, and let's say that 1 hour of that you are doing in the morning and the night, if we combine it, just 1 hour, just to make it simple for my brain. If that's what we're saying, that 1 hour you dedicate to doing all of the things, to visualizing, scripting, reading, saying the affirmations, the hypnosis, the visualization, the scripting. I'm now repeating myself, but say you are dedicating 1 hour to that. So then there's 17 hours in the day that you're living. And what I have found consistently is the people that are not manifesting their desires quickly and easily, they are putting so much intentionality and almost pressure on themselves in that 1 hour a day. Yet in the other 17 hours a day, they're going completely unconscious. Like, they're not paying attention to who they're being. They're not paying attention to the thoughts that they're thinking. They're not paying attention to the habits that they have. They're not paying attention to the actions that they take. Not only not paying attention, but I find that a lot of the times people are waiting for the manifestation to come in because they're spending that 1 hour a day doing all of the things. Then they're waiting for the manifestation to come in until they show up differently. And I did this, like at the beginning of my manifestation, I did this. I was like, even at the beginning of my business, I did this. And it was like, I was found myself waiting for something to change so that way I could show up differently. And it's like, that's what keeps you stuck living Groundhog Day over and over again. And that's a perfect reference. I know I use that reference a lot, but since this is like you creating your life movie right now, your life story, if you haven't seen the movie Groundhog Day, it's worth a watch. It's an older movie with Bill Murray in it. And I want to say it's short because I feel like they were shorter back then, but it's probably like an hour and a half. But basically, he's waking up and every single day is the same day. And that's what ends up happening to a lot of us, right? And that's why I always tell you, you've got to get out of wanting and waiting energy. You've got to get into deciding and moving energy. But if you are doing all the things, quote unquote, for that 1 hour a day, but you aren't actually being any different throughout the day, that's when you're not manifesting, like full stop. Because you have to think about it. You've heard 1,000,001 times that manifestation isn't about what you do. It's about who you're being. So if you're not conscious of who you're being, and if you're not cleaning up who you're being throughout the day, cleaning up the limiting beliefs, cleaning up like changing your habits to healthier habits, cleaning up your self-talk, cleaning up the energies and the emotions that you're playing into all day long. If you're not focusing on that, then what ends up happening is you actually start feeling really defeated and you start getting really frustrated and the anxiety comes in and the depression comes in because you logically know what you should be doing to get the manifestation. And you almost feel like you are doing it, but you've created like a manifestation to-do list. And we honestly have way too much to do typically. And we don't need more information. We're living in a digital era where information is on overload. So the problem is, if you aren't applying it, if you're not taking the teachings, if you're not, especially if you're watching this right now, like you have access to everything you fucking need. But watching the videos and then not changing who you're being throughout the day, that's when you're going to get frustrated because now logically you have more information about how this works. You know it's possible for you, but you're not applying it, so your life's not changing. And so I want you to really, really get clear. If there was a camera crew following you around in 2023, would you like what you saw? If somebody was like, hey, here's your life movie of 2023, would you be that person that's like watching like this? Would you not even be able to watch it? Would you be like, oh my God, turn it off. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Burn it. Like, or would you be like, oh my God, I'm so excited you got this on film. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch this. When I used to create vlogs, I loved it because I felt like I was encapsulating memories that I could always look back on. And it was so beautiful to see, even just to look at who I was being then. But here's the thing, right? Like vlogs are very, very, not scripted, but it's like planned out. I didn't always know what I was saying in them, but it was like, I could pick up my camera and record when I wanted to, right? And so it was also like, if there was a moment I didn't want to record, I didn't record it. And that's where a lot of the times this whole social media thing gets people. And that's why I argue that Instagram has been dying off for many reasons. But and TikTok has really been coming in so heavily because people are way more authentic and true to themselves and real on TikTok, where everything is so curated on Instagram. And I love aesthetics. I love vibey things. I love great colors. Like, I love all of that. So the visionary in me and the creative in me loves Instagram for that. But at the same time, we are really lacking authenticity. And that's why a lot of people will call it a highlight reel, right? Because people are recording and filming the parts of their lives that they want you to see, and then they're not recording and filming the parts where you don't want to see. And now this is where a reality TV show can be a little different. And the reason why I want to keep using the Kardashians is because if we think about other reality TV shows, they cut a lot of the clips together. So that way they kind of manipulate the storyline to make it more juicy, to make it more dramatic. And so that's even less of like actual real life. Whereas I would argue, though the Kardashians are producers, have always been producers on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they didn't have full say because E was like held the rights to the show. Now, though, they have full say. But there are things and there are moments where it's like, there's shit that's happening that is rough and they're like sharing it with the public. And it's like, not everybody would want to show that. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people aren't on television having their lives recorded, because there's a lot of things that you go through that you would like to be private, that you don't want the entire world weighing in on. But I want you to think about it from the sense of, because here's the thing, right? When we're around people, we typically show up differently. When we're in our home, we're different. Even think about when you're in a relationship, how you show up in your house versus when you're single. There's a lot of discrepancies, right? As to who we're being in public when we have that facade on, and then who we're being at home. In astrology, it's like your moon sign is who you are at home. Your rising sign is who you are out in public. So me, for example, and that's what my sleeve is right here, I am a Taurus rising. So like when people see me, they're like, watch the fuck out. That girl is fierce as fuck. Like, I'm going to take a step back. And I'm not, and that's not wrong. Like, I'm not saying that's wrong. But in my home life, I'm a Cancer moon. So like, I am emotional. I am very homebody like my home is very important to me. My surroundings in my home is very important. The energy in my home is very important. I love being at home. Like me and my dogs, if you know, like it's just like me and the girls, and like I don't really hang out with a lot of people. But I would also argue that like I work with clients, so the conversations that I have with people when I'm having conversations with people are very deep. There's a lot that's going on. I'm a creator. I record a lot. Like it takes a lot of energy to do what I do. But when I'm in my home, like earlier today, when I woke up, it was so funny because I've got a brand new iPhone. Don't come at me about the fact that there is a genocide in the Congo. I literally had the same phone, the iPhone 11 Pro, because it was my like army green color and I fucking loved it. I've had that phone for like 6 years or something like that. Gaia broke my phone the other day when we were moving here and we were in the process and the hotel situation went wrong. Anyway, what's so funny is I was manifesting a new phone. Like I wanted this titanium phone because I just thought it was so sexy and I deserved it. Like I deserved a new phone. I literally run my business from my phone and my laptop. But so that's another way to show you that like my phone broke in a time that wasn't ideal, when I didn't want it to, like wasn't ideal, but now I manifested the phone, right? So this morning I was like trying to record something on my phone. I was just like playing around with the settings and I had no makeup on. My skin is breaking out because Gaia ate the rose hip oil that I normally put on my face. She ate the top, so I couldn't travel with it. So I haven't had that. And so my skin was breaking out. I had no makeup on. My hair was in a fun bun. I was in my pajamas and it ended up it was the most unflattering angle of me, like double chin city, like hot mess. And I would not go out in public like that. Like, I'm not one of those people that goes out in public in my pajamas. Like, we literally live in an era where you can wear like cute as fuck comfy clothes now, athleisure. So like, why would you? But I wouldn't go out in public like that. You know what I mean? Just because like I have higher standards for myself. Not saying that I don't go out in public without makeup on, but like, you're never going to see me walking out in public in pajamas. Like, it's not going to happen. Right. And there are things that I do when I'm in my home that like I probably wouldn't do if other people were around. You know what I mean? It's just different. And not that any of that is wrong, like what I do when people are around or when they're not around, but you just have to be honest with yourself and notice. And not saying that you can't be your weird, authentic, unleashed self, like do you, but it's like, also though, be honest with yourself. Are you allowing yourself to slack in areas? One, because you live alone and there's nobody there and so you can do whatever the fuck you want, or two, because you've been in a relationship for a really long time and the other person is kind of doing that same thing. So it's like, you don't feel like you have to. Maybe you're dating somebody and they don't work out, or they eat a lot of unhealthy foods, or they order in a lot. So you don't feel like you have to cook. You don't feel like you have to work out, whatever it is. But it's like, is the version of you that you're being while you're at work, while you're driving in the car, when no one's around, when you are cleaning your house, like if there were movie cameras on you. And the reason why I like to say documentary or like reality TV show is because they have the clips, especially in reality TV shows, where the producer is asking you questions. So you could be going around your day doing something and and then they record it, and then you sit down with the producers that day and then they ask you questions about it. And if somebody was like, so what was your mindset then? Like, what were you thinking about? Why did you do that? You kind of have to be like, oh, and take a second to be like, what was I thinking about? Why did I do that? What was my intentionality behind that? And a lot of the times I find that we get really complacent. And this happens to the best of us. Even me, who's like constantly doing personal development work. There are some times where I just want to binge, like in my pajamas. I just want to binge watch some Netflix, and I want to order a pizza, and I want to just like chill in my pajamas. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if I did that every single day, that really wouldn't be getting me closer to my health goals. That really wouldn't be getting me closer to my personal development. That really wouldn't be getting me closer to building my empire. Like, there's a lot of the times the way we're being and the habits that we're having and the thoughts that we're thinking and the things that we're doing throughout our day are so far out of alignment with who we desire to be. And you can't wait to change who you're being until your external world changes, because that's when you're waiting forever, and that's when you end up giving up because things don't change, because the universe is responding to you. So you have to be very clear on who you're being. And this doesn't mean that you have to change absolutely everything about yourself. I mean, unless you want to, but it's about being more mindful and being more intentional about who you are being. Of course, allow yourself time to relax. Of course, allow yourself to feel your feels. Of course, like, let your intuition guide you. Let your authority guide you. I'm an emotional authority, so that's why they came out. And I've been working with one of my clients a lot this week on her authority. And she's an emotional authority too, so we've been talking about that. But whatever your authority is. But allow yourself to like give your human what your human needs. Yes. And there's also a time and place of like, but have you just gotten comfortable? And you're not actually pushing yourself because you don't have anyone that's keeping you accountable. Like, unless you work with a mentor, I would argue you don't have somebody keeping you accountable on your inner work. Unless you have a personal trainer, or unless you're like really on top of your workout, like there's nobody keeping you accountable. Once you're an adult, like, you're creating the rules. And while that's a beautiful thing, sometimes we get lazy and we get complacent. So this is about taking an honest inventory of those 17 hours during your day when you're not sleeping, when you're not doing the visualizations or the meditations or the affirmations or whatever it is. I want you to honestly ask yourself, am I being the version of myself that I would want to be if there was a reality TV show about me? Regardless of whether you actually want to be on a reality TV show. I'm not asking you to go pitch your life to E! Or to MTV after this, or to like pick up a camera and start vlogging your entire life. Like, unless you want to each their own, right? But it's just about, you know, the whole saying, hindsight is 20/20. If you were to start thinking about your life in moments like, how would I be doing this if I was the main character of my own reality TV show? How would I be acting right now if I was the main character of this documentary? How would I be acting right now if I was the main character in this movie? And really ask yourself, like, am I showing up as the version of me that I want to be? Am I showing up in this main character energy? Or am I showing up in this kind of like victim mentality energy? Am I showing up as like the person at the beginning of the movie when their life is falling apart and they're a hot mess and they like just life is serving them a bunch of shit over and over again? Or am I the person that is like winning, that is getting the love, that's getting the money, that's getting the bag, that's, you know, building the empire, like whatever it is that you desire? But are you like actually being that main character? And whatever that looks like for you, right? Look at 1,000,001 movies out there. There's a movie for everyone, and there's also a movie that's not for everyone. So I want you to start thinking about movies that you've seen, or even maybe a reality TV show, documentaries, whatever feels best for you. But I want you to think about movies that you've seen, and I want you to think about, or even TV shows, doesn't matter. Think about characters that you have seen or people that you've seen on television, in whether you're streaming, whether it's on a channel, whether you've gone to the movie theater. I want you to think about some characters that were really alluring to you, that felt really magnetic, that were maybe really charismatic, maybe really ambitious, maybe really funny, maybe really beautiful, whatever it is. But we're all going to be pulled towards different traits, right? I want you to think about characters in movies that you've seen before, in TV shows that you've seen before, that you were really, really inspired by, really motivated by, really attracted to, really drawn to, whatever. And I want you to like make a list of them. Make a list of all of these characters and say like, what was it about that character that really drew me in? Was it how smart they were? Was it how witty they were? Was it how they dressed? Was it how they carried themselves? Was it the energy that they were in? And I want you to realize that whatever traits that you are attracted to in other people, you're actually noticing them because it's available in you. But sometimes we aren't tapping into it. Sometimes we aren't allowing ourselves to embody that energy. And I want you to start realizing that you get to design yourself just like that main character was designed. Now, we go into this in Chameleon, the masterclass. You can always watch that as well, where I teach you how to reinvent yourself. But I want you to think about these characters in these roles. There was somebody that sat down and wrote that character out. They wrote down their personality traits. They wrote down their hair color. They wrote down their height, their weight. They wrote down their flaws. They wrote down their attributes. Like, somebody decided who this person was. So instead of you thinking like a baby boomer and older generations of like, this is just the way I have to look. And I'm not saying be like the Kardashians and go get a bunch of plastic surgery. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about designing yourself and designing this main character and who you're going to be. I want you to look at who you've been this past year. And then I want you to look at the people that you find really aspirational or whatever. And I want you to start looking at those characteristics and say like, how can I start stepping into that myself? And what you're going to do is you are going to design your main character for 2024. Who is this new version of you? Who is this more magnetic, more amplified, more abundant, happier version of you? Who is this version of you that you are deciding that you're going to be? And if you get kind of caught up on this is when I want you to look at characters or look at TV or film that you've seen before and people that you were really attracted to. And if you're like, oh, I don't know where to start, go on Netflix and look at your recently watched playlist. Look at the list that you have saved. Look at what you've been watching. Look to your favorite television show. Look at your favorite movies. Like, I want you to start looking at different characters and wherever you pull them from. Lacey Phillips coined the term expanders. And she said, like, find somebody else out there who is modeling that for you. And I always love that. And that's become such a big term that term is so much bigger than her. But I want to give her credit because she is the one that brought that term into reality. But use these people as expanders and really start calibrating to their energy, to whatever the personality traits that they have are. Like, I want you to start modeling them. In NLP, that's a term that is used heavily, and it's called modeling. And it's like, when you're 0 to 7, you model your parents, you model the people that you're around. I want you to start modeling the characteristics, the behaviors, the habits, the actions of these people that you really admire. And here's the thing is this could also be people on social media that you follow. It doesn't even have to just be a movie, but whatever that is for you. And I want you to really get clear, like, what is attracting me? What is drawing me into these people? And how can I amplify this in me? How can I start allowing myself to be me, but the me that's really like magnetic, the me that is really authentic, the me that isn't afraid of what other people are going to say or what other people are going to think, or the me that feels like she's got to keep showing up in this way that she always has because my family, friends, whoever are going to judge me. You get to be whoever you want to be. You get to start playing the main character right now. This isn't something that you have to wait till 2024, but this is a tool and a way that you're going to avoid getting into that rut of, oh my God, I didn't do enough this year. Oh my God, I'm in the same place that I was last year. But don't beat yourself up. That's not helpful. But get clear on, have you shifted? Like, have you met the goals? Have you manifested the things? Or do you feel like you're the same person that you were in 2023? What are the personality traits that you don't desire to have anymore? Like, if there was a camera crew following you around for this past year, what are the moments that you would want to delete and not let anybody see? Are there times when you're alone and you get snappy with your kids or with your animals or with your partner? Do you get really jealous sometimes? Are you a little OCD and you obsess over things too much? Are you kind of vain? Like, you know what I mean? These things that we've allowed to play out, these characteristics that we've allowed to carry with us that aren't really serving us and aren't getting us closer to who we want to be. I want you to make a list and start being consciously aware so that way you can clean it up. Because think about it, right? Like, if somebody came to you today, they slid into your DMs, they sent you an email and they were like, we want to create a television show about you. Whether you want to or not. Just say that this happened and you were like, oh my God, yes. Think about, if they're like, we want to start recording next month. Would you be like, oh my God, I got to get a new wardrobe. Because maybe you're walking around and you're in these really comfortable pajamas and you love them, but there's holes all over them. Or maybe you're wearing a shirt that you've had for 20 years and you look like a hot mess. And nothing wrong with looking like a hot mess every once in a while. We all do. But it's is that how you look the majority of the time? You would not want to look like that on camera. Even if we are going to talk about another reality TV show, look at Selling Sunset. If you watch, and that's on Netflix, it's a show about female realtors that sell really high quality real estate, luxury real estate in LA. If you watch the first season, they did not have that much money. They had money coming in from real estate, but the show has gotten wildly popular. I think they just finished season 6. And in these 6 years, the show has blown up. and their lives have arguably changed a lot. Like, it's brought a lot of attention. It's brought a lot of money their way. Because if you think about, like, in the influencer world, if you think about getting paid via Instagram, not all of them do that. But, you know, it just opened up a lot of doors. And that's why people do reality TV shows. But if you watch the first season, they kind of dress kind of basic. A lot of them look completely different because they've gotten lip fillers, or they've gotten Botox, or they've gotten nose jobs, or, you know, and I'm not saying you have to do all that, but if you feel called to, I'm also not shaming you on that either. I would argue that breast implants are something you probably really don't want to do just because of how toxic they are. Like, I would really encourage you to look into that if that's the one thing you're interested in, but do you, boo-boo, do you? But what I'm getting at is, in the first season, like, they just didn't have as much money to dress as nice. They didn't have as much income coming in. Like, they were going to work being recorded doing their job in their office that they already worked in. So it was more like, okay, whatever. And then the show blew up and they were like, oh, I should probably care a little bit more about how I look. And not from like it doesn't have to be from vanity, but also there is a little bit of that, right? And there's nothing wrong with a little vanity, because you don't want to be looking like a slob kebab, like, always. But it's like, if somebody was going to record you next month, would you be like, holy fucking shit, like, I got to change this in me. I got to change this. I got to clean my house up. I got cobwebs everywhere. I got to throw some clutter out. I look like I'm hoarder status. I haven't bought new clothes for myself in fucking 5 years. Nothing fits. Everything's a hand-me-down. And again, like, know where you're at financially. This isn't like shaming you, but it's like, just think about it. If somebody was gonna record you, would you be content with being like, yeah, come in tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, would you be like, yeah, I'm good? Like, and then they'd come in and then, like, maybe you're a little bit of a gossip. Maybe you have really low self-worth, so you really talk down to yourself, or you have a self-deprecating humor, like, whatever it is. I want you to just be clear and be like, how would me as a main character show up? And I've gotten, like, as much as we're talking about main character, I spent a lot of this, like, trying to point out to you and be honest to you where you're at. Because I've found over my years of mentoring and teaching and being a creator that this is where people aren't focusing on. Like, yeah, it's really fun and exciting to create your main character, and you're going to be doing that in your homework. But we have to actually be honest with ourselves about who we've been, right? I'm all about living in delusion. I'm all about unrealistic. But we also have to be practical and pragmatic about, like, where we're at. Because if you replace the term manifestation with goal setting, when you are really good at goal setting, it's you set a goal and then you reverse engineer it and make steps out of it that you can accomplish, and you, like, get to where you are, right? And then you work towards one step. So you have to ask yourself, like, who has me in 2023 been? And then who is me in 2024 going to be? And the first part is going to take a lot of, like, gnarly honesty and accountability. That's what shadow work is. Then it gets to be really fucking fun and exciting. You get to design this character. You get to map them out. Who do you want to be? And don't be like, well, if you're 5'5", don't be like, so I'm 5'9" and I've got long legs. You know, like, what are you going to do? Stand on stilts? Like, come on now. There are some things that we just have to accept about ourselves. We can manifest some things, but also, like, your soul incarnated here in this body, and it shows all of your traits. I was just taking a program with a woman who is, like, a medium and connects to spirits. And while that's not something I do, I just, like, and I'm not, like, into, like, all of those medium shows and things like that, but I just liked her energy. I was taking a program with her. And that's one thing that she said. She was like, you know, your soul chose everything about yourself, like all of your traits, all of your personality, your family, and all of your, like, physical characteristics. So it's one thing to, like, maybe want your lips to be a little fuller, or to, like, or to shed some weight, or to be down a few sizes, or to have abs, or to grow your booty. But, like, the only way you're really going to grow like 6 fucking inches if you put on heels, right? And maybe that's something you're going to be doing. Maybe you don't wear heels ever, whatever. But it's like, I want you to like design, it's not like you're throwing out you. Like, that's not it, right? You're not creating this fictional character. You are modeling and amplifying the version of you that you are, the characteristics that you have, what's available for you, because everything's available for you, like any characteristic, any personality, any energy. But it's like you are making, in self-concept master course, I call it U 2.0. You're creating the U 2.0. So you're just amplifying yourself, but it's like you are the main character. So if, like, of course you can dye your hair and there are things that you can change about yourself, but like, be realistic when it comes to that part of creating your main character. Like, don't change your name. Like maybe you've shortened your name and you want to go by your full name or something like that. But it's like, who are you going to be? Like, be more clear on the thoughts that you're going to be thinking, on the energy that you're going to have, on the habits that you're going to be doing daily, on what you're going to think about yourself, on what your self-talk is going to sound like, on what you're going to be doing daily. Like, are you actually proud of the person that you're being every single day? Are you creating the legacy that you want to leave behind? If you were being recorded and this was going to live in the ethers of the internet or streaming or wherever, and people could tune in at any time, would you be leaving a legacy behind that you're proud of? And if not, that's okay, because we're going to shift. What parts do you need to release? What habits do you need to release? What habits do you need to release? Like, what are the things that are genuinely, honestly blocking you from manifesting your dream life? Because I always tell you guys, like, you're not blocked. You do have limiting beliefs. You do have past life experiences that your subconscious mind is using, but you're not blocked. You're just showing up out of alignment. If you think about reality like one big television, since we're going with the whole main character thing, and if you were changing the television channel, like, it's not like the other television channel goes away, right? Channel 4 is still there, even if you go to channel 70. They're still all happening simultaneously. But it's like the only way you're going to be able to watch what's on channel 4 is if you tune into channel 4, right? That's what's going to manifest that channel. And conversely, the only way you're going to be able to watch channel 70 is if you tune into channel 70. You are the thing that needs to tune. You're either in alignment with you are in alignment with the reality that you've been living. So if you want to manifest a new reality, you need to get into alignment with that new reality, right? Like, you can't keep showing up as somebody who's playing the victim, who's always frustrated, who's always angry, who's always got their not self theme and human design coming out, and then wondering why other people are manifesting so easily. If you're just sitting around and waiting for things to change and putting your power and playing in other people and playing in a victim frequency, like, these are the things that we need to start cleaning up. So this is all about you getting very honest about who you've been, looking at your life, and then designing who you want to be, writing out a script. Like, how do you want this year to go for you? And remember, manifestation is always this or something better. So we're not getting caught up on this is exactly how it's going to happen. But if you could write out, and if you could direct, and you could direct any fucking movie for your life in 2024, what would be happening? Like, if you want to write it from January, February, whatever, or if you just want it to be like a big plot, these are the things that would be manifesting. This is where I'd be traveling to. This is how much money would be in my bank. This is the relationship I would be in. Like, I want you to get really clear. There's so fucking many possibilities available, and there's so many things that can happen in a year. Like, it's actually a very long stretch of time. It seems quick, but there's so many things that could change. Like, your entire life could change. So if you could create the movie, like the most epic movie of your life in 2024, what would be happening? And in order for that to be happening for you, your main character would need to be playing into that epic energy, right? So who is the main character that you're going to be showing up as? Like, who is that main character that's in alignment with that travel, with that money, with that relationship, with those friendships, with those opportunities? Like, who would you be? Design it out. And and this is part of your homework. So you're going to get really in depth and in detail on what you think about yourself, what you dress like, what your energy is like, what Your self-concept is like who you hang out with. Like maybe there's somebody that you've hung out with for the past 30 years and they're like, I was just watching this TikTok, and they're these two guys in England, and I just think they're fucking hilarious. And there were these Americans that were asking them like, what word do you guys use here? And I forget what the word was, but they were like, you know, like, what word do you use for somebody that's like not doing anything with their life? And they were like, waste man. And I just love that. But like, are you hanging out with somebody that's a waste man? That's like got no ambition, that stays in their pajamas all day long, that bitches and complains, that like goes to a job that they hate, that doesn't have like a life purpose. They don't have goals that they're setting. They drink all the time. They like don't have any healthy habits, and they're not working on themselves. Like that doesn't help you to be hanging out with that person. Like who are the characters that are going to be in your story? Like who are the supporting roles? Who are the people that you're going to be engaging with, that you're going to be hanging out with? Like maybe you've been dating somebody that doesn't treat you right, that like has anger issues, or they're distant, or they're avoidant, or they are narcissistic, or like whatever it is. Like, would you that's living your most epic story, would you be dating that person even if you're married to them? Like, would you still be married to them? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be that person that is just always complaining about like their situation but not doing anything about it. Like the most epic version of you, they're making changes, even if that means getting uncomfortable, because they're seeing it as exciting. They're allowing life to be an adventure for them. So like how epic could your life be? What do you want to happen in 2024? And like bonus, if you want to create a soundtrack for your 2024 life, like I feel like that is so much fun. Create a playlist and like add the songs that like you would be playing in the background of your movie, or the songs that really help you embody the energy that you want to be in, or they're describing the lifestyle that you want to live, something that like makes you feel epic and like tap into that magnetic energy that's available. And then play that like while you're driving your car, or while you're cleaning your house. You can also create a scripted track of your 2024. So once you write it all out, you can create a track that you listen to, and you could listen to it at night when you're sleeping. That's the best way to reprogram your subconscious mind, because it will go in. Like literally, you guys, I normally listen to a sleep tape that I've created for myself. And there are times when I have dreams and the person is saying exactly what the sleep tape is saying. And like, it doesn't make sense in the dream for that to be saying it. And sometimes I'm like, why are they saying that? Like, what? But then when I consciously am awake, I'm like, oh my God, it's because that's exactly what I was listening to. So last night I fell asleep listening to a book. Like I oftentimes will meditate and then put on my sleep track and go to bed. But if I'm feeling a little like more insomnia coming up, that's been happening to me the past few months. Like I used to really suffer from insomnia, and then I got so good at going to bed at like 10, and it was just like on repeat. But then when I got COVID this last time, and then I was living in the hotel and moving around and traveling, it just like fucked with my sleep schedule. So now if I'm like trying to fall asleep earlier, and I just notice that it's just not working for me, I'll put on an audiobook. And then when I notice I'm about to fall asleep, I'll put on my sleep track. But last night I just like wiped out to the audiobook I was listening to. And there was a universal law that they were talking about in that book. And in my dream last night, it didn't make any sense for that universal law to be talked about. Like it didn't fit in the dream, but it kept coming up because there was a chapter about that universal law. And that's the part that I was at in the book. And so it's like, even if you don't realize, like, even if that doesn't happen to you while you're dreaming, that's how deeply it goes in. And it's called the Tetris effect. Whatever you are focusing on before you go to sleep is what carries with you while you're sleeping. So it's so potent, it's so powerful. And I teach you step by step how to do that in the Already Yours masterclass. There's a scripted track section. You can just go there if you haven't yet watched it. And if you want to know how to just create it, then just go to that section. I had to just turn the light on because it's getting really dark. It's like not even 5 p.m., but it's pitch black here by 5 p.m. because I'm in the Adirondacks. So this is not like the best lighting, but just because it was getting a little dark, and I'm just going to start wrapping this up. So The idea here is once you design your 2024, your avatar, once you design your character, once you decide who you're going to be, you are now every single day and every moment of every day, you are going to be tapping into that character. You're going to be playing that character so much so that you become this new character. So that means you're going to act like this person. You're going to talk like this person. You are going to think like this person. You are going to make decisions like this person. And anytime you're like noticing your old self come out, you're going to say, but how would I show up right now in my main character energy? How would this be going if I was directing my life story? How would I be moving right now if there were cameras following me? And this isn't to be like super egoic, like, oh, but how do I look right now? But like, honestly, like, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind in your life? Do you want to leave behind a legacy of the version of you that you've been? Like, and if you've been living on track and you've been manifesting all the things and it's been great, then awesome. There's always things though that we want to work on and we want to improve. So it's like, you've got to use discernment on where you're at. But it's like asking yourself honestly, is this really who I want to be? Is this what I'd want to be known for? Is this what I would want the world to know me as? Like, if I blew up on social media tomorrow and I go viral and everybody's like got their eyes on my life, is this what I would want them to see? Is this what I'd want them to know me for? And if no, okay, awesome. Then what would you want to be known for? How would you want people to see you? What would you want your legacy to be? Because you get to decide in every moment who you're being, what people see of you, what they know, and like, it's all up to you. You are the director, you are the writer, you are the producer, you are the main character. And you're also going to not only create a year, like your year movie, give it a title, like get very clear on what your 2024 year is, get very clear on who the main character you're going to be is. But I also want you to create an ideal day. Now, you don't need to stick to this every single day, but what does main character you do all day? A lot of the times we just keep doing the same things every single day, and that's when we keep getting the same results. But when you start getting clear on who you want to be and you start showing up as that person every single day, that's when you quantum leap your life, and that's when the changes happen really fucking quickly, because the universe is responding to who you are. You are the leading energy in your life, so how are you leading? You've got to realize that if you want to manifest something, you need to be in the frequency of that thing. So what would your main character be doing all day long? And of course, you know, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you like design your own days, like every day could look different. I'm a manifesting generator. Don't even try to get me to fit into a box of like a 9-to-5 schedule. Not going to fucking happen. You might be the opposite though. You might really love having a strict routine. You know yourself better than anyone. So I want you to create an ideal day, and then I want you to start showing up like right now, today, when you start watching this, start moving closer to that. Like, what would that version of you do? Would that person scroll on social media for 3 hours long, or would they be learning a new skill? Would that person be staying in all the time because they don't want to spend any money, or would they be going out to eat with their friends? Would that person be starting the business, writing the book, recording the podcast, creating the products? Or would that person be sitting and watching Netflix all day long? You know what I mean? Like, I want you to like really look at how the habits that you have every single day translate into the actions that you're taking. And if the actions that you're taking are out of alignment with the thoughts that you desire to think, with the energy you desire to be in, then that's when there's going to be a disconnect in the manifestation process. This is all about streamlining it, right? When we can get our thoughts, our habits, and our actions in alignment, and we can embody a self-concept that allows these things to be in alignment, that is when the manifestations are going to come so quickly and so easily. And I'm going to give you an example in the homework where I show you what I mean by this, like a full-on day designed out, like the version of you that you desire to be. I use the example of if you're a business owner, but you can apply this to anything. But just to give you something like very clear and tangible to be like, oh, okay, I got this. But I want you to reflect on 2023, who you were being. Then I want you to design your life movie for 2024. Design your main character, who you're going to be. Then I want you to design your day on who you're going to be. Bonus points, record a sleep track, record a scripted track. I would really, really recommend that you listen to it at night while you're sleeping. You can listen to it whenever. And create a playlist for 2024, add songs that are really vibey, that will be playing in the background of your movie, or that just get you into the energy that you want to be in. And allow yourself to start showing up as the main character. Ask myself, is this what my main character would be doing during the day? Is this how my main character would be showing up? How would my main character react? Like, you've got to get very clear on and be conscious of who you're being every single day. It's not about the journaling. It's not about how long you meditate. It's not about what affirmations you say. It's about who you're being in those other 17 hours in the day. So this is about cleaning that up. So who you're being is the version of you that is living in that desired reality. This 2024 movie that you are writing out, you are now going to start showing up like the version of you who actually can manifest those things, who can actually have those experiences, who can actually live that life, because you're not waiting for these things to happen. You're deciding that you get to have them because you're a divine creator and you get to experience anything you want. And so that you can experience them and so that you can manifest them, you're going to do the work to shift into the version of you that is in alignment, that is in the main character for that movie. Close the chapter of 2023. That movie is over. We are now going into a whole new movie, and step into this main character energy. Step into it as many times as you need to. If you notice that you slipped out, go back. If you notice that something triggered you, go back. If you notice there's a characteristic that you want to be more of or have less of, evaluate, change, allow yourself to pivot. Like, you are responsible for creating your life, and the more accountability, the more responsibility that you take right now in the moment, day by day, moment by moment, you're going to be the person that manifests everything that you want so much faster than those people that are showing up like the old version of them, with the old habits, with the old thoughts, with the old self-concept, with the old self-talk. And that's when they're going to be in wanting and waiting energy. You're going to be deciding and moving because main character you decides what they're available for. They decide who they're going to be, and then they do what's required, so that way they get it, and they get it quickly, and they get to live that way, and they're open to the support from the universe. They allow it to all play out. Think about movies, like the way that things happen in movies. Sometimes it looks like it's like a total flop, but that's how they end up meeting their soulmate. That's how they end up getting the opportunity for the job. That's how they actually come up with an idea for a product that makes them $1 million. You don't need to know all of the how, but when you write out a movie and you get into the energy and you get clear on the desired reality that you want to be in, that's when the universe can start putting people, places, and situations in your life, so that way this movie can play out, this or something better. You're either going to get the movie that you're writing out, or you're going to get something better. But in order for that to happen, you've got to show up as the main character of that movie, the version of you that gets to live out that movie. And you can come back to this and play this as many times as you want, but make sure that you do this homework, because the homework is going to help you get clarity. It's going to help you shift your energy, and it's going to help you to actually start creating a blueprint, writing the script. Like, you're literally writing a script, designing the character role. You're designing the set. You're designing the movie from start to finish. It's really fun. Like, have fun with this. Get excited. Like, this gets to be so fucking epic. If you want to first create the playlist and then play the playlist while you are scripting out your movie, like, do that. And again, if there's any habit that you feel like keeps showing up, if there's any feeling that you're having a really hard time moving through, then use the Swift pattern video that is going to be available for you and go through that. So that way you can, on an unconscious level, start programming in a new identity, because that's literally what that technique does, is it programs a new identity in for you. So have so much fun with this. Let me know in the DMs how it goes for you. If you're in Synergy, drop it in the group. And I'm so fucking excited to hear what your movie is. I'm so fucking excited to hear what you named it. I'm so excited to hear who the main character is that you're now embodying. Like, I'm so excited to hear all of the things that manifest for you. Like, this gets to be so much fun. So you are 10 steps ahead of everyone else, because people in December are going to start going into, well, I didn't do this, didn't do that. You're already going to be playing the main character. Like, we're not even fucking waiting for 2024. By the time 2024 rolls around, we are already going to be showing up as that epic main character who's already manifesting the most epic things. So I love you so much. Thank you for being here. And I'm so fucking excited for you.